Okay, hello and welcome to this live GNC Presents a Founders Day celebration. I'm Ethan Honey. I'm from BYO UK and Ireland, more specifically London. I'm 18 years old. I'm the current chair of the Global Networking Committee. Thank you all for joining us here today, along with our lovely panel. We'll be talking about the amazing growth happening in communities around the world, sharing best practices with each other, and celebrating our foundations, both old and new. So let's introduce our panel. Eitan, over to you. Eitan, unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Eitan Weinsteiner. I'm a junior from Manhattan region in New York City. I'm 16 years old. And the reason that I'm on this panel today is to talk to you guys about founding a new chapter.
Great. Thank you for being here, Eitan. Denise?
Hi, everyone. My name is Denise Hodgman. I'm 15 years old. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, BY Argentina. The reason why I'm in this panel is because we recently grew a lot and we opened up the second chapter. So I'll be giving advice to how to expand the movement in your community.
Cool. Thanks for being here too. Ina?
Hi everyone, my name is Ina. I'm from Kyiv, Ukraine, and I'm here on this planet, and I'm here today to tell you about active Jewish teens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Eyal?
Hello, I'm Eyal Katan. I'm from Mid-America region, St. Louis, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about my experiences on BBYO Ambassadors to Ukraine.
Cool. And Danny?
Hey guys, I'm Danny from Hungary. I'm the regional mosqueer here. And I'm here to talk about my experiences in HVR's Spring Convention.
Cool, thank you. We should have one or two people joining us as well later on in the call. So we'll look forward to them joining. But apart from that, thank you everyone else for being here, and we're going to get started. Also, if you are currently watching live right now, be sure to let us know where you're watching from, who you are, and additionally, if you have any questions during the call, then please feel free to tweet at BYO UK President using the hashtag GNC Presents, or comment on the YouTube live stream now, and we will try and answer your questions throughout the call. So, yeah, thanks for being here. Let's get started. So, as a refresher, last Wednesday, May 3rd, was Azadeh Founders Day, marking 94 years since Sam Bieber became an advisor for the newly created International Order of the Aleph Tzadik Aleph and began implementing his vision. Joined with the B'nai B'rith girls 20 years later, BBYO has been a leader in young Jewish life around the world. Our guests today, as you've heard, all have valuable insight to share about what's happening right now in BBYO globally, whether that's from their experience in growing new communities or through participating on new ambassadors programs that have been starting this year. So firstly, I'd like to start off with Eitan. I know you founded a chapter this year, so I'd like to hear a bit about that. What was that experience like, and what challenges did you face? And also, what have been the most rewarding moments?
Of course. Hi, so this year I actually started the first ever BBYO chapter in the Bronx, specifically in Riverdale, as this is where I'm from. And the closest chapter to that town is a 45-minute train ride away in Manhattan. Since this was not feasible for many people as they have school and other activities, I decided that I was going to do something to bring BBYO to Riverdale's Jewish community. The first part of starting a chapter is finding a community partner such as a JCC or a synagogue. My tip in doing this and getting this done is definitely finding a community partner that has their own network of teens already, as that will give you a good place to start in terms of recruitment. Once that is done, you really have to make a big initial recruitment event and heavily publicize it throughout the community. That is what I would say is the hardest part. getting kids from a community that had never heard of BBYO interested enough to come to an event really isn't easy, which is why you pretty much have to reach out to every single Jewish teen in the community that you know and consistently follow up with them. In my example, this was key, and we were actually able to get 16 people to our first event. For me, another part that was quite challenging was what followed. During the first few months of the chapter, you will be in charge of everything, ranging from recruitment to programming and social media posting. This is really a lot of work, but it's highly rewarding to see the moment when other people take on these responsibilities, such as helping to plan a program or even bringing a friend. For me, however, the most rewarding part was seeing people from the New Riverdale chapter take the next step in their BBYO career, and sign up for a convention. This is amazing to see, as it really shows that all of your hard work paid off and that everyone in the community is really interested in your chapter.
Cool. And when did you start it? How's it been doing so far?
So we've been doing pretty good. I started it. We had our first meeting just before IC on February 11th. Now we have about 5 people signed up to our convention out of the 11 members. So we're one away from getting our charter. And we've been doing pretty well. We're actually quite known throughout the community, and more community organizations are looking to partner with us every week. So it's pretty good.
Awesome. Pretty good to hear. And just follow up about the way you made the leadership of it. Did you just stepped in and kind of like were leading it, and then you'll hopefully have like boards following it in the future, or how's that been working?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it was pretty much just me working on the programs along with our 2 advisors who are really great. And it was just me working on the programs, reaching out to people, everything like that. But now actually we have someone. We're not going to do full elections because we don't have enough people quite for a board yet. But we're going to have a president next year who I'm going to help like really ease into that transition, and she really wants to get involved with BBYO. So yeah, we're really getting people more involved. She and a bunch of others are helping us plan programs. We actually have a program later today, which is going to be really cool.
Awesome. Denise, if I can hand over to you now, because I know BBYO Argentina has been having some amazing growth this year. Specifically, what has it been like to found a second chapter, Ligdol BBYO, and what impact has that started to have on BBYO Argentina as a whole?
Okay, of course. So this past year, BBYO Argentina grew in mind-blowing ways. We elected our first board, where I served as a Chavarot. We tripled the amount of members, beginning the year with only 16, and now we're quickly reaching 100 ALFs and BBGs. And we opened up our second chapter also. At IC, we broke record on the amount of teens in our delegation, with around 40 of us, and then we took lead on the biggest delegation in the global community. In the beginning of 2017, we founded our second chapter, Chavados, in Pilar, where I mentioned before, where it's like the suburbs of Buenos Aires. This chapter has been working really hard to recruit members and get them involved. And successfully, they currently have around 40 members, which 13 of these went to IC. And they'll be having their first elections this upcoming weekend. I believe that BBYO really enriched their lives because over here it's really typical to do School of Marahim, which is like a 2-year course of leadership and how to get involved in your community. So BBYO also is helping them with all of that. But since we're really working hard on expanding BBYO in Argentina, but as well as we're working hard in expanding BBYO throughout whole Latin America. For example, this past IC, for the first time ever, there was a delegation of Colombia and Mexico, making a total of 100 Latin Americans at IC. So that's just mind-blowing for everyone. And yeah, we're all really happy.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing to hear. And it's great to hear how just from that one chapter in Argentina, it's starting to spread across Latin America, and we hope to new heights. And as we've heard, founding from our guest, founding a chapter is one of, if not the best way to grow our order. It helps us reach out to new communities, enrich BBYO's culture, and overall make us a more widespread organization. And it's also amazing to hear how it's enabled Argentina to make that next step from just a single chapter community to being more diverse, and hopefully one that will expand into even more chapters in the future. So Denise, what advice would you have about founding a chapter, particularly for lots of other communities around the world, other countries who currently only have one chapter? Because that's as you know, is the structure of many countries. They only have one community right now. So what would your advice be?
Okay, so definitely founding a chapter isn't easy at all, but I believe that with a lot of persistence, it is possible. The only chapter in that community will be the one in charge of founding the new one. So the members of that chapter will have to make the accountable phone calls to the Jewish teens in their community, invite them to programs, help them organize big events to recruit. And these ones are these members of the old chapter will be the ones that will need to encourage these new BBGs and Olives to help to speak up and stand out in their community. It's about pushing an 8th grader to run an event about their favorite TV show, or to encourage a member to go out of their comfort zone and apply for steerer. Yeah, I believe that these are the things that we have to do mainly, just help the members, the new ones, get involved and help to like structure the new chapter as well as it happened to you.
It's definitely very much a team effort on that front. We've just had Ariel join us. If you want to quickly introduce yourself and where you're from. Oh, and I think she just dropped out again. Okay, hopefully she'll make it back on. But I'd like to just quickly go back to Eitan and see as well what advice, if you have one piece of advice that you wish you'd known before you started the process of founding a chapter, what would that be? And share that with everyone.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, like advice that I would give is that it's definitely worth it, and that even though it's a lot of work, you should never give up during the process and always keep going, because it's really going to be amazing, the final product. And also to remember that you're really not alone in the process, and that there's always staff and other teams like regional directors and regional board and just anyone in general who wants to help you and wants to make sure that you succeed. Because really what you're doing is you're bringing Jewish experiences and all that BBYO has to offer to a new group of teams, which is pretty much the mission of BBYO. So you're doing a great job, and it's definitely worth it. And like before I would have started the chapter, I wish someone had told me, that the work that I'm doing really isn't just you for a long time, that it's really just the push at the beginning, and that the whole point is that if you're doing the job right, and if you're actually making the chapter, helping the chapter succeed, that the chapter will sustain by itself, and the members themselves are going to be the ones doing the work and planning the programs and doing the outreach and recruitment. So it's really amazing, and that's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you. And I definitely agree with that. I feel like that's kind of happened a lot here the past year, growing people in UK and Ireland. Like, not everything is going to work straight away, but the stuff we're doing right now is going to pay off in the future, and I think that's the same with the chapter. Ariel, you're here. I think your connection is good now. Would you like to introduce yourself? Hopefully you'll be on.
Okay, my internet's a little slow, so I don't know if it went through before. Do you want me to introduce myself again?
Yeah, we didn't hear you before, so just introduce yourself.
Great. So, hi, my name is Ariel. I'm a senior in the Rocky Mountain region, and I'm super excited to be here to share my experience being an ambassador to Latin America with Chile. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for being here, and excited to hear more from you later on in the call. So, obviously, this is the Founders Day call, and our founders are the ones who led the way and modeled the leadership we all share today. Since the historic moments of founding, we have exceeded the expectations of founders like Sam Bieber and Anita Perlman. And much in the same way as we were just talking about how the work they started was not everything happened straight away, and we've only gone on to continue that and make things even greater. And BBYO now engages 80,000 teens Jewish teens around the world across more than 600 chapters in 44 countries. And I'm sure we'll only keep increasing those numbers. Our first international convention was held in 1932 in Canada, but it's very different from the IC we know today. This February, we held our largest IC to date with 3,000 Jewish teen leaders gathered from 36 countries. Overall, we've just seen unprecedented global growth, with many communities developing their own BBYO programs or partner programs. And one of these has been Active Jewish Teens. So, Ina, I'd like to invite you on, and please, if you could explain a little bit about the structure of Active Jewish Teens, or AJT, in the former Soviet Union, and also share some of the successes that you've seen over the last few years.
Okay, so hi everyone again. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you all for being here. So AJT is a young leadership movement in FSU countries. We're a young organization. We have 5 countries. It's a lot. We have Kazakhstan, we have Ukraine, where I live, we have Russia, we have Belarus, we have also Moldova and Georgia. We also communicate a lot with Latvia and USA, of course, and Israel. So what AJT is all about is the principles of AJT is self-government. I'll talk about it later. Jewish education, of course. Volunteering. There's a lot of programs that helps to develop volunteering in FSU countries, and of course uniting Jewish communities. So first of all, I want to talk about we have 60 cities now today. We have 3,200, is that right? People. It's not BBYO, but it's a lot for us. And our biggest, proudest moments were our regional Shabbatons. So in AJT, we have our self-government, and we have 2 presidents, of course, girl and boy. And in each country, we have regions, and one region, behind the one region stands one congressman. So in Ukraine, for example, there's 4 regions. Kyiv region, which is my region. I'm a congressman of Kyiv region. There's same thing in each country of AJT. So what we're responsible of, we bring all the information from our presidents, from our heads of AJT, all the information we're bringing to the people in communities and small cities of our regions. And it's a big moment for each congressman when each region has their own regional Shabbaton, where all the people from all the region come together, learn stuff, dance, sing. It's amazing. It's like a little convention. Also, we have seminars. The seminars are all about teaching people how to do projects. And projects is another thing in AJT. So in every community, you as a young Jewish teen, you can do your own project. Like, for example, I like to cook a lot. So why I cannot share my life with other people? So this is what is projects all about: sharing your experience, helping other people with something you like. And seminars are providing you with information how to build up your project in your community, how to do it so everyone is be interested in it and stuff like this. Also, we have International School of Madrichims. It's a big thing. If you passed it, I passed it. Really proud of it. On School of Madrahim, the best teachers teach us about how to be a good madrich, about all the lessons, about the techniques, and it's so much to soak up and learn. It's amazing. Also, we have such things as EcoFest, like Ecological Fest, where we go to Carpathian Mountains in Ukraine. It's 3 days. It's all about the nature, about learning Jewish stuff. It's amazing. And we have also like sport days where we're counting, and it's all about the bringing communities together, helping them grow their sport interest and stuff, and kind of like this. And the proudest thing is, of course, our IC. It was held in Kharkov this year, and Eyal and Ethan, you were there. And there were 500 people there from all 5 countries that we have, and it was amazing, of course. And also one of our proudest things is going on on BBYO's IC and on Kala, on CLTC, LTC, and all the summer programs. I cannot even explain to you how dreamable Latin America, like BBYO is so dreamable for us. And when we're going on IC or on summer project is a new life. So this is our proudest moments. I think so.
So wow, that is a lot of stuff. Can I just ask when, like, how many years has AJT been going? When did you guys start, if you know?
Wait, can you repeat the question? The connection is
really... how many years ago did AJT start?
So it started in 2014. It was like one little seminar about Jewish education, and all the teens were just interested in building communities. So there were no knowledge about what is happening outside the city. So we just had our communities with Hesed and stuff like this, but we didn't have like the whole Jewish teen experience. So this was the idea of AJT.
So in literally just a couple of years, you've managed to grow into something very expansive and very big, and probably also, we hope, going to keep growing. But yeah, that's already amazing. The sheer amount of growth that's happened over those years. And as you mentioned, one of your biggest things is your own IC, which was in Ukraine this year. And yeah, we, for the first time, BBYO sent our own delegation of 14 teens to AJT's IC. One of them was Eyal, who I'd like to ask her if you could now experience and also some practices that you learned, which you think you can, from all that stuff that you think would be, you've started to, and you think you could bring back to benefit communities like in North America.
So in my time on BBYO Ambassadors to Ukraine, I got to not only go to their international convention, but I got to go see, I got to visit Lodomim in Kiev, which is like that kind of community in Kiev. And all I can say is the passion and the excitement that they had was unparalleled to anything I've ever witnessed in BBYO. They work together in ways that I cannot imagine. It's like almost that they don't care about who's on board, who's doing what. They just want to make sure that they're all collectively having an incredible experience. And I got to see that even further when I went to their international convention. When I saw all the congressmen of all the different regions standing up on the stage, passionately leading and driving this incredible experience. And yes, I've had some great experiences with BBYO, but the time that I had in Ukraine was just absolutely incredible because of their sheer gratitude and their, just appreciation for Jewish life. And so a couple things that I experienced in Ukraine that I think that we can really work on in America is that idea of unity and working together, knowing that we all share the same passion and we all share the same goal, and that we can work together across different regions. For example, the different regional boards, we have such vast networks that we can work together and that we can build off each other's successes, just like they are doing in AJT. And also, Ina talked about this, but the seminars, I think, is an absolute incredible idea because it's essentially taking the great ideas and passions of the teens and helping them share it across their movement. And it can be anything that they want. It's just, just a talent or an interest that they have. And it builds relationships. It helps connect everyone across the order. And I think that's something that we can really work on in BBYO, is that it doesn't take, something large to connect. It can be something as simple as cooking or as working out, the small things that can bring us together. And I think that's a thing that AJT is really, capitalizing on. I think that we can capitalize as a movement on our own.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And I definitely agree with all that, what you said. Like, that's really a big goal of what we should be aiming for just globally. Like, the whole movement should be really moving closer together, like you said. And some of those aspects that you brought up would be really awesome to see happen over the next few years. Eitan, I know you also went on ambassadors to Ukraine. Do you kind of agree with what Eyal said? Did you take away anything different when you have to go soon? So just if you want to talk quickly about that.
Yeah, for sure. So my experience in visiting AJT and everything like that really did shape the way that I founded my chapter, because I realized how widespread BBYO's partner network was. And it was really inspiring to me to hear from some of the teens that I met. Just an example from Siberia, who had a Jewish community of about 1,000 Jewish people in the whole city, but yet had a thriving chapter and region. This really helped me realize that even though there hadn't been BBYO in Riverdale, my hometown, which is a neighborhood with a majority Jewish population before, it could definitely be achieved. It helped me come out of my comfort zone, as I was really in a country that I'd never been to, with a language I didn't know how to speak. And this really exposed me to new experiences and ideas, something that you need to know and be able to do when founding a chapter. It also helped me realize through the stories that I heard there that AJT, even in remote communities, was renewing teens pride in Judaism, many of whom had really never experienced Judaism and had never been exposed to Judaism before. And that's really what helped me realize the importance of starting a new chapter and really making these experiences available to all teens. And yeah, so I do have to go. Thank you guys so much for having me on the call, and I hope that everything goes well.
Awesome. Being here. Good luck with all your endeavors in your new chapter and everything, and thanks for sharing your experiences.
All right.
And we should also be having someone join too soon as well. Our last guest, but yeah, just to kind of continue what's been said, it's like clear to see these kind of experiences that you gain a lot, not just on the experience, but what you bring back. Oh, and here we go. So here's Wesley, and our completed panel is now here. So I'll hand over to him and he'll introduce himself quickly, and then we'll carry on and then get over to him later.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Wesley Pergament. I'm from NSR, and I will next year be the regional Sagan for the Nassau-Suffolk region, which is based in Long Island. And I had the amazing opportunity to go with Ariel on the trip to Ambassadors to Latin America. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for making it on. And we'll be
of course.
That in a short while. But, I'd like to just focus for a little longer on the side of these experiences, because I know for me, I definitely gained so much personally from IC and other international programs like Pillar. And they've also been extremely beneficial this year for me in strengthening BBO UK and Ireland. The way I see it is kind of they help you to think outside the box by actually taking you outside the box. And you're suddenly thrown into this like brand new community where with all these brand new ideas, and it just really like fuels your creativity in that respect. So for example, in UK and Ireland, we started implementing what's known as the funnel methodology, which is to do with how we structure our calendaring and when we put different events. And we started our year off with a huge engagement event, which was a boat party that we held on the River Thames in London. So we had over 100 people attend this event, which made it our biggest event in the last couple of years, which is great and amazing, and it's really set us up for success for the rest of the year. And it's all thanks to hearing about the possibilities of calendaring and WOW programming that was taking place in other communities. So I would like to hand over to Danny from Hungary, because I know you've been doing a lot of these new cool things, and I know you've been on IC back last year. So lastly, yeah, feel free to share what BBO Hungary's been up to, and let us know like what things you've brought back to help see that new change.
So hey guys, I went to IC last year. Ethan is correct. I made a lot of new friends, and I think BBYO Hungary has grown a lot since last February, and then that was the second year that we sent people to IC. We had our biggest delegation go to IC this year. Not a lot of people, only 7, 8 people, but it's been growing a lot since the first time that people went. Can
you tell us about, was it this year you started your first board as well?
Yes, in December we had our first elections, and I'm lucky enough to be BBYO Hungary's first regional Mosquier. And if I'm correct, our president is watching right now. So, hey. And our chapter has improved a lot since our first elections, and we hope it's gonna improve more.
Yeah, great. And so funny story, Danny actually visited London as well, like about a month ago.
Yeah, a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, so we met up, and one of the things we discussed as well, which we were talking about, was your convention you had with, I don't know how many other countries, but basically a lot of countries across Europe, and that sounded really awesome. Would you like tell everyone about that as well?
Yes, I think it was last October or the start of November, we had our first IC, and we had people come from 4 or 5 different countries. I wrote it down here. So from Denmark, Austria, Macedonia, Romania. If I'm missing one of them, sorry, I forgot. And that was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. Not only in BBYO, but just outside as well. I made a lot of new friends. There were probably 15 people. Oh yeah, Serbia. People from Serbia came as well, and it was just lovely.
Awesome. And I don't know how much like that happened, but definitely recently there hasn't been much. There's been a few things of like programming with countries across Europe, like BBYO communities in Europe, but like that was definitely a new step forward in that regard, and like that would be really awesome to see that grow in the future and see like many more countries come together and see it kind of more established as one of the like foundation moments of the year. Like that would be really cool, and we're looking forward to seeing where that's going.
Yeah, we're actually having another convention in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not sure if there's going to be any people from abroad. I'll have to talk to my advisor, but I really hope so.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
And just quickly, if you are watching right now, you can send us questions for this panel. So either go and tweet at BYU UK President using the hashtag GNC Presents, or comment on the YouTube live stream, and we will try and answer the questions. But we can see you in the comments right now. So if you're there, let us know and we'll get onto them. But now, the long-awaited guest would like to. Firstly, I'll hand over to Ariel, but Ariel and Wesley, as they said, got to participate on Ambassadors to Latin America a few months ago as part of Maccabi World Union's Latin American Intercontinental Conference. So yet another new ambassadors experience we took part in this year. So Ariel, we'll start with you. Can you tell us about the program, what you did, and what was it like for you as well, being a foreigner in so to speak, in a different community? But we'd really love to hear all about the program.
Yeah, definitely. So the program was really incredible. It was 6 days, starting with Chile, which is the capital, a Jewish tour of the city. Amazing tour guides who organized everything for us, and they took us around. We went to go visit synagogues. We went and visited the Jewish day school there, and we sat and had lunch with a lot of the students and had conversations about like the differences and similarities in our lives as Jewish teenagers. Some of them were actually at the Maccabi Tzair conference like that following weekend, which was really nice. And then we also got to go visit a Jewish museum, which is actually a museum that the Jewish community of Chile uses to educate non-Jewish people and about Jewish culture, which was something that like absolutely blew our minds, because whenever you think of a Jewish museum, you think of it being for Jewish people versus an opportunity to educate those who aren't. So it kind of changed our perspectives as a group, and we had a lot of time to reflect and had a lot of amazing group conversations about that. Afterwards, we went to go sightseeing. So we went to climb Cerro San Cristobal, and we toured all over the city of Santiago, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then afterwards, we went to Mantagua, which is where the conference was. It was really, really interesting to be, non-native speakers. There was 6 of us. And then there was Ryan Ladd, who was our staff member. Ryan did not speak any Spanish. And then the majority of us spoke at least a little bit of Spanish. Wesley spoke Mandarin, so, that didn't go so well. But we all kind of struggled. And then we had one fluent speaker. Her name is Alma. And so she kind of really helped us get through that weekend. But it was really interesting to be the odd one out, because whenever you go to a BBYO convention, especially IC, everything is in your native language, and you get to experience the weekend full on versus going to Chile and being the outsiders. It kind of made us question, how can we improve the way that we program for international teens who are coming in and who don't speak English? How can we make them more comfortable and make them feel like they're a part of our experience and a part of our moment as a movement, so that they like understand it. So that was something that like we really had a difficult time. Like there's not a perfect answer for that, but it was really interesting to be non-native speakers and to see the way that a lot of the Latin American kids interacted with us and brought us in and played games with us or danced with us or taught us like the songs that they sing or the games that they do. And it was really, really cool to have that experience and to know what it's like to be an outsider.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about what sounds like a really cool experience. And it's interesting to hear about that kind of role reversal of the typical, like typically, as you said, like the global teams who would come and not speak English at BBYO's International Convention probably would have that similar experience to what you had going to the ambassadors to Latin America. But of course, we always try and have, as you did, like someone who is able to be there as kind of a translator and a person to help kind of bridge the language gap. And I know that's something that I've seen in past ICs. Always, whatever like you need translated, it's always made sure that that you can have that explained in your own language, slower, whatever you need. So I think I agree with you. As you said, it's definitely a good step to have kind of that two-way thing going, as well as people coming to like North American events, having North Americans going to other like non-English speaking communities. And hopefully that will again bring us closer to what we were talking about earlier of bringing our movement closer together. So yeah, thank you for that. And now Wesley, I know you want to share about Maccabi itself and how that functions, because obviously we have BBYO Argentina and starting to expand into other Latin American countries, but I know Maccabi is its own organization as well. So please enlighten us.
So one of like the most interesting things with Maccabi is that like in BBYO specifically, like we're for teens and they're like we have a board of teens and we plan events for other teens. But with the difference in Maccabi, I'm not sure if someone mentioned it before, but once you reach 10th grade, you become a madrich and you're able to plan events for a younger age group. So it's kind of like really interesting how like you're like built through this program from like, I believe like very young to about 10th grade. And then once you get to 10th grade, you're able to lead it for like an age group that you choose. And seeing these different like parallels and also differences between the two groups was really interesting. And one of the things that we were just talking about with one of the leaders of the seminar that when we were down there was that they were saying how with BBYO, for recruiting for us is something that's very familiar because we don't necessarily have like events very consistently throughout the week. They're more something that is kind of like announced and more casual. But with Maccabi, they usually do like strictly like once a week, and they have like a certain time set out for them. And just seeing how like we're both like Jewish organizations, but it was saying like they always have a problem trying to get new people in when they were saying like that they know that is one of BBYO's strengths and they want to learn something from that. But then what they were talking about for like the plus sides of Maccabi is that because they have something that's so very consistent, they were talking about how they elevate their program to the next level and it's thought out like very thoroughly for a very long time. When I know in BBYO or in America, sometimes it can not be as thought out just because if the board isn't as active as they should be, then that's just the case. So it was really interesting to see how like these are both our goals, but because like the structures of the organizations differ, our strengths and weaknesses are pretty much like almost opposite of each other. And so we were kind of like discussing ways how we can learn from each other so we could kind of both grow in the way that we need to. So that was absolutely amazing and like really eye-opening. And when I came back to America, I tried to implement that in my own chapter and really like sat down with my board and kind of let them know what was going on. And we tried to like elevate programming just like they did in Maccabi. So that was really cool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And again, that's really awesome as well to hear you draw that comparison between like the BBYO structure and Maccabi structure, which of course is similar, but then also very different. And I think that's something to be said generally about kind of everyone's experiences on this panel is about all these different experiences and being part of this global Jewish community and being ambassadors for each other. So, Wesley, like, why do you think it's important to be ambassadors for the global Jewish community, where we do this kind of advocating for each other and for ourselves and sharing all this knowledge? What is the most important thing about that for you?
So, I mean, one thing that was really interesting was I actually shared like a post on Instagram about my picture, and in school or in BBYO, they were like, "What? You went down to Chile?" And they were like, "I didn't even know there were Jewish people down there." So I thought that was like extremely interesting because I'm literally spending like a week down there surrounded by all these people that are like Jewish and like still like literally going across the world. And that was an absolutely amazing experience. And we were discussing over the trip, it's our job as ambassadors to share that experience and like what we've learned, because not everyone's going to be able to go around the world and visit these like different Jewish pockets. So as like ambassadors, we learned that it's like our job to kind of take it back home, and also through like calls like this to like inspire and like tell their stories. So I found that very interesting, as well as like just being a part of like an ambassador. And like we were saying, how just because you're on your trip and the trip's over, your job's not done. Like being an ambassador, you have to like continue talking about it, and you have to continue to share your experiences. So yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And it's great to hear that you did that with your chapter, like as soon as you got back, and great that everyone here is doing that on this call, and something that, you know, like you say, our job's not done. Everyone here should keep going forward, and anyone who's kind of got these experiences that we've had, it's up to us to share that with everyone. So I'd actually like to like go and hear everyone else's thoughts on this from the panel, but we'll go to Ariel next as well. So what do you think is important about being a global ambassador, and from your own experience, like what is something that you gain from doing that? Like, yeah, the most important thing, if maybe it's the same as Wesley, or you have something else you'd like to add.
Yeah. For me, like going into this experience, I'm actually Costa Rican. My mom is Costa Rican. So I grew up having a very narrow vision of what the Latin American Jewish community looks like. Because for me, it was, you know, the one humongous Orthodox synagogue in the city of San Jose, like, and that was it. You know, everybody goes and has their bar mitzvahs to go there. Like, all of that was my vision of Latin America, and going to this conference and seeing the way that different cultures within Latin America function, and the way that they view Judaism and the love that they have for their communities, it kind of opened my eyes. Every community is the same. And I think that a lot of the times we generalize, okay, this is the way that American communities work, this is the way European communities work, this is the way that like AJT communities work. And it's not that. That's not the case. Every single country, every single city, every single organization has a different way of functioning and has a different purpose and a different strategy. And I think that that really opened my eyes to that. And it also made me really, really appreciative of the way that BBYO functions, but it also made me want to make BBYO better and want to make programming better. Something that we talked a lot about was the way in which they program. So a huge part of the way that they experience here is because of the fact that they're programming for younger kids. So a lot of that is using games and using strategies that appeal to younger kids, but that are really fun. Like, we're all sitting here and playing these games that all of these teenagers, and even like up to 20, 22 years old, like they're so madrachim, like they're taking this back and going to be teaching it to kids who are like 5 to 12 or 5 to 13. And it was really fun. Like, we sat and we danced and we sang and we like ran around and did all of these crazy activities, but it made it fun. We did Shake and Pop, which I know that like AJT uses also, but it was just like all these games that we could integrate into our programs, whether it be more like serious content or whether it be sisterhood content or whatever fold it may be that we're incorporating. Like, these are strategies that we can use. We're not only educating our members, but engaging our members. And I think that that was something that will really stick with me.
Totally. And yeah, globalization is all about sharing. And like I said, it can be the littlest things that we share, which is like we hang on to and we enjoy and remember. And that's just providing a platform for people to be able to share different things is something that we've already started to do and definitely need to continue doing. Denise, so I'll let we'll go through everyone. So now your take on being a global ambassador and what it's provided, and something you can share on that front about how you, obviously we're talking a lot as well about where we're going, so maybe you have a vision of where you think we're going to go and a tip or something we can do together. Yeah, what's your take?
So I believe that being part of the Jewish people leaves us a responsibility of continuing with the legacy that we have, and support each other no matter what. And as in BBYO, I'm pretty sure it's going to get bigger and bigger throughout the years. And maybe, I don't know, one day IC is in Buenos Aires even, and everyone can come over here. But I think what it's mostly important is to keep on spreading the word about what is BBYO and keep on reaching out to the corners of the world where Jewish teens aren't able to have an opportunity to express their Judaism, or where they can't have any activity at all. So I think that's the main part of BBYO. Just keep on spreading the word.
Awesome, thanks. We'll go to AL next. What do you think we are like heading towards, and what's something you've like a single thing you've learned from your experience in Ukraine, or anything that you want to share with everyone?
I think the one thing that I really learned in Ukraine is that we're always better together. I got to experience many different kinds of experiences throughout my time in BBYO, but one thing that I can strongly say, and I really learned that when I went to AJT's convention, is that no matter who you are or where you're from, we all have one thing in common, and that's that we're Jewish and that we're passionate about it, and so that we should build off that and grow off that. When I went to AJT, just like Ariel, just like Wesley, just like Eitan, we had no idea how to speak the language. We were foreigners, and I know that they felt the same way when they came for our international convention. And no matter what, no matter the language barrier, all these different issues that got in the way, we ended up bonding. I remember leaving that convention, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, even though I did not speak this language. I think I had so many conversations over like Google Translate where we were texting in each other's phones trying to communicate. And in the end, I just took away from that experience that no matter what the challenges are into connecting with each other, we will find a way. And that's something that we should never stop doing, that we should always value and appreciate.
Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, maybe even with like the way technology grows at the same rate, that could help with kind of translation things as well, and that could bring us close together. There's lots of ways which we can do that. What is a lesson that you share, maybe something that you learned when you went to IC last year, but just generally from your experience being part of this global community, what is something you want to share with everyone?
So it was so strange for the first time. I felt like I were in my home, but all the people are talking another language. So it felt like I felt weird and like separated on two parts. Like I felt like I'm at home, like with my family, and also like my family talks on English, Spanish, German. What? Like it was so strange, but at the same time, it was so like close to my heart. And the thing that I learned from IC is the support that everyone had. I don't know English like perfectly, and of course on IC I forgot like the word, and I can do just like I forgot the word, and the people who I talk to, they're like, okay, yes, I got you. And it's just like it's a one little thing, but it means so much to me. It's like the connection, it's the support of other people. We live on different we parted by the ocean, but we somehow connect due to Judaism, due to all the Jewish knowledge that we have. And it's so amazing for me that um, it can happen. So on IC, I learned that no matter what, no matter how far away you live from your friend or from anyone else, there is that like connection between Jewish teens that there's nothing to ruin it, to ruin that connection. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Finally, Danny, will finish with you, and also if you want to like tell us a little bit about, because you just went to Hudson Valley's convention, so maybe there's something you learned from that you want to share. But overall, you finish us up with your final word of wisdom.
The others had such emotional little quotes. I can't repeat that, so I'll just tell you about HVR's convention.
How you experienced that?
So I didn't know anyone from HVR when I went there, and on the first day of convention, because there were only 4 Hungarians and everyone else was American, a lot of people were just looking out for us, and I kind of felt a bond between everyone in the room. I think there were about 120, 130 people, and I felt like I could just talk to anyone about my feelings or my problems, because family and friends, and on the second day of convention, it was just natural to talk to anyone compared to the first day. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you again for that. I guess I'll say my own thing as well from everything I've seen, and definitely echoes a lot of what's already been said. But I think one of the most important things about what we do with all this global stuff and globalization and providing all these things for everyone is having this open platform which any Jewish teen anywhere can access, no matter where they live, no matter like how they've grown up, what kind of community they're from. BBYO needs to be providing like the access to these opportunities, the amazing opportunities that we have to everyone. And moving forward, I think that's definitely something we need to strongly advocate for, is making sure like all Jewish teens have what we've had, because as we've all said, it's all been so amazing and so special to share in these experiences. So we're going to wrap up soon. We have one question from Max Meyer, I think, who was asking about, has the United States done a convention with like multiple regions and like having just kind of single country conventions as well? So I know definitely like a lot of countries will have like their own conventions with everyone in there, and additionally, I think there hasn't been a convention with like all the regions in the United States. That's basically IC, but I'm pretty sure there's conventions with multiple regions in as well. So, but that's like something that that's starting to happen in Europe, and is definitely an important point to bring up, because globalization, it doesn't mean you have to find someone like all the way across the world for it to happen. Like, it's just about finding other people, and sometimes it's convenient if the other people are nearby. But thank you, Max, for your question. So without further ado, I guess I'd like to just thank everyone for being on this call. We've had a very wide range of people, but it's been awesome to hear all these perspectives and all these experiences. I know a few people have joined earlier as well, but thank you to all you guys, to Eitan, Denise, Ina, Eyal, Danny, Ariel, and Wesley. Really appreciate you all being on here sharing. Thank you everyone who came to watch. And the last thing to say is just happy Founders Day, and let's continue going global. But thank you for being here. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.